Hello everybody, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks preview video. Today we have the Panhard AMD 178B, the first wheeled vehicle you will encounter on your journey to the top dog of that mini branch. It is a tier 6 vehicle, and let's first have a look at what Wargaming is telling us about these vehicles. We are starting the closed test for the first vehicle in French armored car branch, the Panhard AMD 178B, which will sit at tier 6. So just in case, yes, it will start from the ELC AMX BIS, what they've said so far. I personally would buy it right now, maybe even put a 3 crew member in it, and just grind away. I'd say it's the most optimal idea right now. You can get already around 40,000 experience. I guess it might be around 40,000, 30 to 40,000 experience to need to get this tank, this new tank. But yeah, you can already grind them if you wish, especially right now with the events from the holiday ops. It carries a 75mm gun and has 2 axles and 4 wheels. If the wheeled vehicle's new game mechanics, it offers only the special magnet auto-aim, 2 driving modes, and the charge ability, which you can see at the moment from the people, from the community contributors, which are, as you guessed it, testing the EBR right now. They won't be available on this vehicle. The charge ability will be enabled at the Hotchkiss EBR, the tier 7 vehicle, while the AMX Lynx 6x6 will also get the 2 driving modes. This tank, however, only has one, the normal tank mode, and no charging ability. This is due to the fact they're saying that they do not want to overload the new innovations on tankers which have no clue how wheeled vehicles will work, because, to be fair, wheeled vehicles are weird. Nevertheless, there we go. The closest relative to the Panhard AMD 178B has gameplay-wise are light tanks, yet it possesses better mobility and crosses difficult terrain with more ease. Also, it has a good gun stabilization but a limited view range and isn't able to turn its hull in place. The armor car is vulnerable and should avoid face-to-face shootouts, as it's neither armor nor fireproof required for those. Its tactical niche is providing active spotting and fire support while relying on its swiftness. It's a fast boy and you gotta go fast. Depending on test results, we may change the armored car stats and or mechanics. Stay tuned and may luck shine in your every battle. So this is the first iteration of this wheeled vehicle, and so far I'm pretty sure this tank will be a fan favorite. The tank's layout from the German test site is that they are going to give it a commander, which is the same as also going to be your loader. You have going to have a driver. You will also have a gunner and a radio operator. So this is a little mistake on the German translation, but in the English one it is the same as the Panhard. You have the commander, the gunner, the driver, and the radio operator, which again is a pretty decent layout of crew skills. Yes, the commander will most likely need gunner loader skills like adrenaline rush, but that's about it. The commander can focus on recon, while we have a separate radio operator which can go fully without a problem to the mighty skill called Situational Awareness, which is awesome. Like, Situational Awareness is the best view range skill you can get, so it's really good that it is not bound to the commander right now. It makes it much easier to train a proper crew. But one thing I want to have a look at before we have it compared to other tanks is the view range. 300 meters base view range is atrocious. And right here I'm going to compare it to the Object 261. Why exactly 261? Because legit it's the only tank I could find which has 300 meters base view range. Lucky me. The sad part is we can't mount anything like, what's it called? We can't mount vents on it, which will be probably mandatory on this one. So yes, it will be interesting, but we can mount coated optics in it. We can give it some extra rations or a croissant with coffee. We can give it Brothers in Arms, the Recon skill, and the Situational Awareness, and we'll get 368 meters of view range with ratios. That's really little. Compared to the other tanks, you can see it barely gets over what the 5916 has as space. And all the other tanks are having equal or better fuel range, so it will be hard to spot with this vehicle. Well, you can say, well, I might take binos and do some spotting and don't take the ratios. Still, 400 meter base fuel range is really, really little. You can see the 5916 gets over 50 fuel range more than our Panhard in quotation marks. Or not over 50, 48 more meters with the same layout without cruise gals. That's really, really bad. But yet, it's not a big difference compared to the tier 8 vehicle. The tier 8 one has 310 meters of fuel range, and this one 2 tiers lower has only 300. That's a huge difference. That's why I also think that the tier 7 one will be actually pretty decent, even though it has only 310 meters of fuel range. Tier for tier, there's a much bigger gap, okay guys? This actually makes the Panhard, in theory, stronger than the AMD Panhard, stronger than the EBR Panhard for spotting, because tier for tier, 300 meters is much less of a problem than 310 being for tier 8. But now let's just straight up jump into comparing this vehicle. 570 hit points is one of the lowest, but it's only really close to lowest. You can see the lowest amount of the other tier 6 scouts is 580. This one, 570, is not a big difference. Armor wise, let's don't talk about it, it's trash anyway. The engine has 300 horsepower and gives it a power to weight ratio of 332, which is one of the highest but not the highest. The highest is reserved, you guessed it, for the T52. All the others have around 28, 25, 27, 26. Yes, while the T52, as you can see here, has 34. That's still a really, really good value, and the top speed of 65 kilometers per hour forward and backwards is one of the highest, only getting topped by the Type 64. That's pretty good. The third traverse speed with 50 degrees per second is also somewhere in the middle. There are tanks which are better, there are tanks which are equal, and there are tanks which are worse. And well, the suspension traverse speed, we can't really compare them because again, those are tracked vehicles. This one is a wheeled vehicle. So tracked vehicles will always turn better because they can turn on a dime. So, to the gun though. The gun is probably one of the most interesting parts of this vehicle. 120 millimeters of penetration, 160 with premium shells is not bad. It can be a little bit below average, but overall, compared to other tanks, it's pretty decent. It's actually in a really comfy spot of not being too bad, but also not being too good. So yeah, it's a good average. What is interesting though is 75 millimeters of HE penetration. This is where the fun begins, and this is where I have to say this tanks will shine in the hands of a skilled tanker. None of the tanks here go above 40 millimeters of penetration with HE. They cap at 38, as you can see when I'm just skipping through the stats. 75 millimeters of penetration is a huge bonus because this allows us to most comfortably or almost penetrate all the light tanks frontally or at least in the sides without angles. And this is a huge plus, like a ridiculous good plus. Because right now we can calculate the DPM of this vehicle, which, well, at the moment with 4.2 seconds real time, 60 divided by 4.2 gives us 14.28 shots per minute times 110, which is the average damage, gives us a DPM of 1570, which is the worst, depending if this tank takes the 57mm gun or the 76mm gun, is the worst still in this tier except for the AMX autoloader. But now comes the interesting part. What about we are taking, not this one, we are taking something like, you guessed it, HE. So we divide this once again by 110 and add now 175 or multiply it. And this gives us a DPM of 2500. That's strong. That's the highest on tier 6. So even though you have only around 20 HP less, you have a DPM which is mostly around 700 damage stronger when you are shooting with HE. That's huge. Again, this is huge when you know what you are doing, okay? Other than that, 0.4 accuracy is not too bad. It's more of the worst side of tier 6, but it's okay. 1.7 seconds aim time is also not too shabby. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst. And lastly, 12 degrees of gun depression is the best value for tier 6 scouts. And I think it is with the Stritzwagen 74, I think it's called. Where is it? It is tied with the best gun depression. Never mind, this guy has 15 degrees and the other one has just 12. Just 12. So yeah, 12 degrees of gun depression is still amazing. If you can see, it's just that amount of gun depression. That's huge. Again, it makes it much easier to play hull down with this vehicle and peek against enemies. So overall, I think the Panhard AMD 178B will be an interesting vehicle and a fun vehicle to play. So I'm personally really looking forward to this vehicle. Anyway, what do you guys think of this wheeled vehicle? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.